Hello.
Hello, and welcome to Believe Radio, which is a 24-hour inspirational music and gospel station. We are so honored and grateful to be with you. We don't know what to do. Woo, woo, woo. No I'm kidding. It's all about having fun and being able to kick back and relax and all that kind of good stuff. And stay humor. Humor is medicine to the soul. So that's what we're bringing all the time on our show is medicine to the soul. But I would like to share every first Saturday of the month on the Eyes of the Conscious Soul, we bring to you Cafe Le Blue Lounge, where there are 15 to 45-minute segments called The Corner. Each corner has a blueprint that is unique of its own. So we want you to relax, kick back, and vibe out sometimes to cool sounds, fireside chats, and be inspired by affirmations and inspirational messages. That's on the corner. The first corner is called the Artist Talk. We showcase musicians, poets, singers, dancers, film producers, authors, comedians, gospel and R&B rappers from around the Bay Area to across the globe. They share their creative process and their lived experience. On the second corner, we have Why I Dream. We highlight and honor the inventions and creative work of today's brilliant minds, along with geniuses from our past. We are preserving African American history and culture in order to keep our legacy alive. On the third corner is where you will hear individuals sharing their personal testimonies to what the Lord has done and is doing in their lives, which are inspirational messages. Also, we are highlighting Golden Lights affirmations to impact healing medicine to the soil of the brilliant minds today. Wow, that's a lot on the corner. But each corner, as they play in basketball, there's 15 minutes for each one, or we may do the whole thing in 1 hour. However, on the every second Saturday of the month, from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m., we have the Medicine Hour with my co-host, Mr. George Pearson, P.S. P.A. dash clinician and is the host of Education is the Best Medicine. On the Medicine Hour, here is where we believe building a better tomorrow starts with us. Topics we cover: health issues and concerns, healthy eating habits, education, financing, and politics in the African American community. We believe taking care of our temple, mind, and spirit is essential to having mental wellness and practicing healthy eating habits, and knowing that healthy thinking leads to a healthy way of living. Every third Saturday of the month, we have the Medicine Hour by the founder, Mr. George Pearson. Education is the Best Medicine is a 501c3 nonprofit charitable organization, which is community-based, educational advocacy based, and a resource-based organization that uses media, public media, radio, newspapers, and church-based community health fairs to provide health information and education. This is where we believe vision is the art of seeing things yet unseen and bringing light to a very dark world. The fourth Saturday of the month, which is today, is the kitchen table. We have Mr. George Pearson and Sister B. Mello, aka Barbara Howard. We have real talk conversation, hot topics with individuals or organizations or community leaders, business owners from around the Bay Area to across the globe to talk about the things that they're doing in their actual community. We said a lot, but however, we wanted to give you our format to our show, and it happens every every first and second and third and fourth Saturday of the month. However, on Believe Radio, which is a 24-hour inspirational gospel music station, we want you, we beg you, we ask you, we beseech you to tune into 24 hours, the inspirational gospel music on Believe Radio. Please tune in. Have it as your inspirational music station that plays with you 24 hours or whenever you get the urge or opportunity. Please don't forget to tune in to that. We are here again with the kitchen table. We are talking about.
Well, first of all, I want to thank again for the time, and I want to thank you for um, having the segment.
Mm-hmm.
We had been talking as we tried to do we did some pre-production on this, and we talked about, um, in the general scope of things, World uh, Earth Day, which is kind of
Oh, taking care of the earth. We should be doing that.
exactly, and its importance, and also recently we had the president come in, Mr. Obama.
Mm.
He was at Stanford talking about dis and misinformation, which is kind of defined
Mm.
as a deliberate or deceptive example, rumors, and he gave the example of the presidential nomination, and it was a discussion about maybe a attack on democracy.
Mm.
Um,
I believe it is.
and then, because it was really a full week, but and we'll bring it to the nexus of this, and we had the current vice president come in and talk about infant child maternal health, which was a lot of the cutting edge work seems to be being done in California at UCSF. She called it a model program, and we'd always talked about this in terms of the fact that, when I first started practicing, the number of women of color that were dying from pregnancy related outcomes was uh, number one. It was always going on. So
Before we go there, can you please tell the audience your background and what you do?
oh, I'm a physician's assistant. I've been practicing about, I guess, 35 years. Um, I did my degree program at Stanford's PA program, and then I did a Bachelor of Science in Organizational Behavior because I want to understand systems change. And so a lot of my clinical work has been in medically underserved communities at risk, communities having issues with food, clothing, and shelter. A lot of this mental health and trauma issues is always a standard in my populations. And I always found if you weren't assessing the mental health of folks, you weren't going to be able to deal with their medical issues. So that's been my focus.
Oh, well, thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
And so, and that's a pretty good aside to that, because this is a discussion of that Black women still are 6 times more likely to die within a year of pregnancy.
Mm.
And this continues to be a problem. I guess that's why it's highlighted now, but it's always been highlighted now. And I also want to put a shout out to the African American physician, and want to say thank you to him and her for doing the work that you do and the
That's
support
right.
that you provide.
And please do self-care.
Yeah, and I mentioned that because we're seeing a lot of the physicians that I work with retire, and the issue is burnout, and the issue is not enough. You can't work that hard and not be given the same parity in roles and goals as your other counterparts. It's frustrating, it's painful, it's disrespectful. And so a lot of African American physicians are getting out of practice now. And it seems sad because this is the time that we need them.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to continue practicing for a little bit longer than I think I want to, because we need to have the access. Our communities need to have the access. So there needs to be a new model. We have to find out a new way of how to take care of people.
Well, I definitely want to say kudos to you for sticking in with your community, with your people, because you definitely bring us the information that we need. And that was the reason why you started. Education is the best medicine, for we can have information that we need to go and be advocates for ourselves when we go into the doctors.
Yeah. And I think too that
how important is that?
I mean, I think that one, people need to become, as I'm seeing now, more educated, more thoughtful, more talking, more conversation about this or that. and trying to run it past other folks that they consider maybe knowledgeable or understanding of where the issue is, um, and then making an intelligent decision as opposed to being rushed into doing something.
Mhm.
Um, I
And don't
think,
let nobody tell you that is not happening, that you're not feeling
oh,
what you're feeling or
oh,
experiencing what you're experiencing.
this is
Because
true.
sometimes people downplay us really as African Americans, is that we have a, what you said, a a threshold for pain and
Right,
all these different
exactly.
things. And oh no, you just thinking that you feeling this way, but actually you are.
A
Tell us.
lot of stereotypical thoughts, and you're gonna bring a brother on whose book you're reading
Mhm.
in regards to that stereotypical thought about our levels of pain, our levels of physical prowess, sexual prowess, and all the stereotypes that have kind of been manufactured about uh, people of color. Now that is really, a level of advanced race theory
Mhm.
that needs to be dealt with. Uh, a lot of it is untrue, and and if you don't deal with the truth of an untruth, then it can sometimes
Mm.
become a truth.
That's true. Well, I definitely want to say his name. His name is Mr. Dante King.
Yeah.
Please pull him up on Facebook, Mr. Dante King, 400 Years of the Holocaust for African American People. Please get the book. Go ahead, sir.
And some other things that came to my mind were and the fact that 75% of the private practices are being bought by private corporations
Mm.
and financial concerns. And the question is, when uh, you're we're losing private practice, and why? Because it's always hard to maintain private practice communities of color, where a majority of the reimbursement is Medicare, Medi-Cal, Medicaid, and it's always less money. It always comes late, and it's always under a lot of scrutiny. So this is one of the things that prevent us from getting the kind of care that we need and the kind of care of responsible clinicians, because the system makes it not only unattractive but unprofitable for you to take care of poor people.
Mm. And if people would pull up SB 803, SB 803, that was what Miss Gigi Crowder was talking about. The Gavin Newsom signed a bill into office that peers to peers and people that's dealing with mental health services, if you're helping someone that's in your family member, you can bill Medi-Cal. So they're teaching you how to do that. So go ahead, sir.
Well, in other words, we have to find different ways of taking care of
Absolutely.
this us as a population, as a people.
And this is what we all
Um,
are about, is
yeah.
making sure we give out the information that we know, and that we
Mm,
bring in folks that's in that field to share their areas of expertise,
yeah.
because it's about educating our community. This is what
True.
the kitchen table is about. And this is what it has always been about for African Americans
Uh-huh.
at the kitchen table.
Yeah.
Go ahead, sir.
The other thing I thought was really interesting is the California just recently settled with the major opiate companies. In fact, this was in a just a second, hold on.
Well, we thank you for getting the information. Once again, we want to thank you for tuning in to Believe Radio, which is a 24-hour inspirational and gospel music station. The Eyes of the Conscience Soul comes to you every Saturday from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. I also wanted to say that the broadcasts are shown on Tuesdays and Thursdays too. Please go to your YouTube channel. We want you to make sure that you put the comments in, you like, you share. Please do that. Go ahead, sir.
And even if you don't, please,
Please.
we respond.
Absolutely.
Um, so, um, so the settlement was from the major producers of opiates. We can talk about the names of the companies: Johnson and Johnson, Purdue Pharmacia, in the Shackler family. Why is this important? Because for a long time, the opiate problem was denigrated to communities of color and poor people and folks that had no voice. But when it became a major problem in the culture, then it got a voice. I always say that about those kinds of things. And the interesting thing about the voice is there was a settlement almost of $1 billion, and you'll be seeing these monies come down in terms of trickle down in terms of treatment, and and the devastating harm that these drugs have happened to the community. And I know they're devastating. I prescribed them for 30 years. That's what that's what I was supposed to do. That was the standard of care. It's no longer the standard of care now. That's why I'm talking about it. And I guess the point of that is that um, the the risk now to prescribe these drugs has just went up. Now, how can you? What I say is, how can you continue to prescribe a drug where there's been a major settlement against it, and it is a drug known to do harm? And so, how is that going to be played out for people that are on these medicines that have been getting them now for
So
a
you
number
can
of
get
years?
addicted
The
to
point
the
of it
actual
is
medicine
now
too.
is that
Well,
if that's
folks
the
are.
case and we can no longer prescribe these drugs legally, then what are the options for the patients?
Mm.
Uh, that's where that money is going to help go to solve some of these issues. Because in reality, you can see a time where post this settlement, a young provider, provides these medicines and the person overdoses, and
Oh my
the
goodness.
family sues him. And Susan, because they said, well, you should have known these were illegal drugs in the first place. He should have never got these many, and all this kind of thing. But that's the person's in pain. But there are some places where you can prescribe these medicines in terms of palliative care, in terms of acute injuries. But now the whole issue around use of opiates for pain is starting to be a limited conversation, and thus taking another arrow out of your quiver to treat a particular problem, in this case chronic pain. So I don't know what that answer is. We'll find out.
So
Yeah.
how important it is to make sure now, as we're getting older, and even started prevention, making sure that you, for instance, for myself, I know that I cannot eat
Yeah.
certain things.
Yeah.
So how important it is to listen to your body.
I think that we live in a society that says you can have
Mm.
everything.
Okay. Yeah.
So subsequently, that's how he been eating. Like, we
Hmm.
could have everything. In fact, what COVID taught us is that we have some very bad eating habits.
Absolutely.
And the the rationale for bad eating was we were locked up. So now that we're not locked up, then what's the rationale now? Oh yeah, supply chain. So anyway, but I think that what I hope to do in this program is start to all of us to learn together about more
Absolutely.
self-awareness and more kinds of uh, things that are going to promote not only your enrichment but in your fulfillment, but your um, getting rid of your fear.
Hmm.
And so I think that's kind of a good segue, because we were talking about um, motivation, and it got me into thinking about motivational speakers. So I scoured YouTube, and but what interestingly happened to me, uh, a, uh, uh, a patient,
Client. Yeah.
a client, and clients like all over, you know, provide me with education, and
Mm.
this time I got a book,
Hmm.
and uh, the book is about it's by this gentleman named uh, Og Mendigo, and he is a motivational speaker. He passed in 1999. It's just important because uh, when I started reading this, and I think first of all, it says that we need to always consistently kind of learn and be
Hmm.
lifelong learners. And one of the things about if you listen to Les Brown or OG Mendigo or uh, Tony Rollins,
Hmm.
the always the keys to a lot of these issues is what you can do,
Hmm.
what your power is in this.
You're
and
not limited.
you're not exactly, you're not
You
limited,
are in control.
it's exactly. So I kind of want to bring that to the table because everyone can start doing some homework,
Just a little bit.
just on
Start a little.
things about self-empowerment,
Mhm.
betterment, and
Well,
yeah.
I'm glad that you said that because inspirational music, as we are on the Believe Radio, the music that they're playing on their station is empowerment too.
Mhm.
So, music and your faith and all of these different things that you practice
Mhm.
are important. And we want you to know and be encouraged
Okay.
that you can do something about where you are in life.
Yeah. Well, I got to thinking that Nipsey hustle, hustle and motivate, right?
Uh,
And I want to rest in peace to him, a beautiful black man,
mm-hmm.
uh, lost before his time to interesting of gun violence, right?
Yeah.
And just a side on that is that it seems like the gun violence is really touching our kids between 1 and 19.
Oh my God.
That's a major
That's
cause,
scary.
and young African American men. So
Yes.
I'm going to keep beating this drum about gun violence and the need for us to understand that a life goes when a gun goes off sometime.
Mm.
So
And it's something that you said that because growing up, my father had took on a security job, even though they had our business, Wendy's Cheesecake Bakery in San Francisco. He took on a side job, and I cried and I cried and I begged for him not to be a security guard because I knew guns. He may not come home.
yeah.
So, but I thank God he quit the job.
Uh-huh.
He went to something else. But however, you're absolutely right. It is touching our community and it's touching our families, and we have to put down the guns.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So it's solutions really haven't thought that much, but I know
Mhm.
if we keep beating the drum, then the solutions will come.
Absolutely.
Um, so um, so I wanted to kind of start with this discussion around motivation from kind of a brain and neural anatomy, and kind of understand that this is a whole chemical mix, and that
Yes.
uh, one of the major systems is the limbic system and the amygdala, and the amygdala is a kind of a gear for emotion. So when we talk about people being motivated or not motivated, these structures have to be in place. There have
Mhm.
to be proper chemical balances. It's a finite system. I was listening to some stuff about the limbic system as I was driving here, and I just forgot how intricate this is, a chemical pathway structure about your emotion
Wow.
down to your smell,
Uniquely designed.
down to your smell.
Wow.
How much smell is involved in emotion. The
Mm.
smell of fear or the smell of
Mhm.
success, right? That kind of thing.
Mhm.
So um, um, that kept me to kind of thinking about um, you know this gentleman was talking about coaching, and the background, the whole group is called Coaching Attraction, and at first it says it was talking about thoughts and actions, how your actions can be significant. He says that, and the first thing you have to ask when you get up in the morning, what will you do today? What's your goal?
Mm. Be intentional.
Yeah, of course,
Be intentional about
of
what you're going
course.
to do. Don't
And
waste time.
now the reason why I did this kind of deep dive because one of the motivational speakers is an African American, Les Brown. The other is an older white man, OG Mendigo. But they were both saying the
The same
same
thing.
thing in
Mhm.
one way or another. To be, as you say, intentional. It says, it says, uh, it says the reason we do not get our dreams is what is our skills investment. It says
Mm.
you have to make it every day. It should be a conscious effort, right?
Mhm.
So part of this discussion for us is not just living, but living more abundantly.
Absolutely. That's what it says in the
Yeah,
word.
I mean, I'm just yeah,
No, I
and
get what
yeah,
you're saying. You're absolutely right
yeah,
because it's about self-talk too.
right,
The most important, as I share when I'm doing workshops, I can share with you and I was just telling my students is that these little younger folks is
That
that
you were one time in your life.
yes,
Finger popping.
yes, hey, still
Okay.
doing that a little bit, hey, look,
Okay. How was
gotta be
vacation
real,
again?
okay. Woo!
Okay,
Jamaica
all
was right on time. But
right. Okay.
what I was saying is that I was telling, sharing with the young folks is that I can share something with you, but you are going to have to be the one to make the actual decision of if you want to do it or not.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it all starts, like we said, that you can do something.
Right.
It starts with you.
Yeah. And so as I looked at these folks, I kind of started to kind of get a sense of why they were who they were. And
Their gifts.
yeah.
That was a part of their gifts.
Yeah. And I think
exercise your gift,
I think
people.
that
God-given gift.
I think that that's what we don't do. We don't exercise those kinds of gifts. In fact, we only use 10% of our brain power, those kinds of things. It says, and so it's going to. It says the problem is that we all want success, but we don't necessarily want to work to be great.
That was a mouthful.
And
say that again, sir.
It says, and the problem is we all want success, but we do not necessarily want to do the work to be great. So, in other words, a constant theme to a lot of our these motivational speakers was that dare to be great, dare to test your limits, get out of your comfort zone, do something different, create a journal. Journaling was big.
Yeah. And it still is. In my soul workshops, that's a major part is journaling.
And one of the reasons that you put something to paper, then it gives it form and gives it life. It moves
visual.
Visual.
Learn what audio, visual, and what is that? Audio, visual.
Yeah, audio visual. Yeah.
Okay, it's one more. I think it's two. It's two more.
Well, I mean the senses, right? The five senses.
Yeah.
But again, this is how we have to start looking at things in a more inclusive sense. And so we can talk about
self-care.
We can talk about the traumas of slavery and these institutional things that have prevented us from. Has gotten in the way of us being our own greatness, but really we are in the way of our own greatness. That's what these messages keep coming to me about. It says, and it says, well, in other words, they talk about stuff like, what does it take to be a champion? What will you do? What will you do? What's your first step in stopping talking and starting information? Again, guys like Les Brown, Tony Roberts, they are about taking who you are and creating that best person you can be. It says, find
out about your DNA too.
Okay.
Find out about your DNA. What tribe do you belong to? Start researching and learning about you.
Yeah.
Your people.
And so
it's a sense of pride.
Yeah. And so part of the show, I think, was again back to solutions, back to empowerment and self-improvement. We all need to work on it. As I was doing the prep for this show, I was really saying, gee, I could do this better. Yeah, I could do that better. Again, it's that lifelong learning. Self-talk.
Self-talk.
It says, and why do we not go out for our dreams? What's the skill and investment? What would be every day for it to be a conscious effort?
Wow. So it's basically back to investing in you.
Right.
Investing in yourself because you're worth it.
Well, and what's your thought process for this?
Major.
Is it a organized, disorganized setting that has no beginning, middle, and end, or does it take you from point A to point B? Because those are the things that are most successful. And there's going to be some failures. Always these we're talking about failures. Failures are a part of
life.
Of life. And what one would think was a failure or a bad thing might in turn be the best thing that ever happened.
Come on now.
So I mean, this is
that's
these are
God honest
the kind of things that I think people need to move forward as we move through COVID, as we move through this new normal that we have to deal in, this new issue in terms of climate change and its effect. $7 gas
Oh my
prices.
God. And that'll mess with your mental health.
Oh, no doubt. But
My
again,
goodness.
the discussion is it's always been this way. And in other words, how do you deal in an unreal world sometime?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Once again, you have tuned in to Believe Radio, which is a 24-hour gospel and music station. Today we are on at the kitchen table on the Eyes of the Conscience, so that the kitchen table comes to you every fourth Saturday of the month. And please tell a friend to tune in 24 hours on Believe Radio, which you can get the gospel and music. And definitely tune into you. What can you do, starting off with baby steps, to make changes for yourself and investing in you and making it walking in purpose, on purpose, intentionally?
Yeah. And some of it has to do with, again, back to the amygdala and fear. And it says you must do this. You have to do what scares you sometimes.
Wow.
You have to push yourself
That's
to be the
amazing.
person
Yeah.
that you want to become. You can deal with some successes, but can you deal with failure and all things that people don't believe in Believe Radio?
And it is important for us to teach our children that everything is not going to be peaches and cream,
Right.
but how do they get back up? That's
Yeah.
going to be the key. And COVID-19 is now that it got them in that headspace. So now how do they get back up and keep moving? It
Yeah.
is important. Tragedy happens,
Yes.
but how do we now help our children and help our people move forward?
Well, you always tell them life is not a sprint, it's a marathon.
Say that again.
Say life is not a sprint, it's a marathon, which is 26.2 miles.
Okay.
So the thing about it is that it's a belief in self, and in faith and in patience. And I think I got that from them. Like, we delay and we do not have a lot of faith or patience.
Those are the two major things you need in life to be successful.
Yeah.
You definitely have to have patience with yourself and patience with your growth, and have your faith kick in to help you, to motivate you, to empower you to keep moving.
No doubt.
And believe on Believe Radio.
Exactly. And, we have a time with, again, this is from a combination of all these motivational speakers. I kind of took the best essences of what they were talking about, because that's what I thought kind of impressed me as I went through the information. It says, you have to embrace the hard. You have to embrace the unmade mind and make it up.
Say that again, please.
You have to embrace the hard. You have to embrace the unmade mind and make it up. And you can't stop believing.
Yes, absolutely.
And I think that was another big thing, is that people...
It plants a seed of hope. Excuse me. I just want to share that information.
No
But
doubt.
you know how we do. We're not cutting each other out, but we work with each other like that. So we've been doing this for how many years together? 20 years or more.
I think that part of it is that. Part of it is the aha moment that we want people to have.
Absolutely.
And if you play this and play some of the tools, and then go look at some of the folks that the original reading, go listen to some of their tapes. Les Brown was keep saying that educate yourself, which I didn't hear from OG. Well, OG in his way was saying to educate yourself, keep learning, keep opening up yourself, keep testing yourself, and keep loving yourself.
Yes, most important.
And so,
because if you don't love yourself,
you
can't love anybody else.
And I think
in a real way, genuine.
Well, of course. And I think that one of the things that really kind of got me, these two really, I would say, if you didn't know, machismo, macho men, we're talking about love. So it's kind of interesting.
It's a macho.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And, your fear drives a lot of our responses. You fear to make a mistake. but that's the road to success. And
Absolutely.
you can stumble, you can fall, but you have to get
Absolutely.
back up.
Get back up.
Yeah, you take one step, takes two. That's what it takes to run a marathon.
And because you run marathons,
yeah, I've
and
run
you
them.
run, and you've been running for how long? For over
Yeah, about
50 years.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, my baby, my Kenyatta, who had a birthday April 22nd. Thank you, Kenyatta.
Oh, okay.
My son. Uh, yeah, about almost
Because if they see you running around the lake, they say, "Oh, I know who that is, Mr. Pearson."
Since high school, yeah. It feels better. It's a trip. It again limits.
You were in the service.
Yeah, I was in the military.
Military.
I ended up being a warrant officer, which is at this point in time is a first or second lieutenant, I think, at that time. And I was a medical corps officer, and I went from a infantry person to a medical corps officer, which is, again, the kind of discussions that these guys talk about in terms of having the skill set. And Mr. Mendinga was an alcoholic. And so
the gentleman went in the book.
Yeah, and so he had to. He was at his.
He had to reprogram.
He had to reprogram
transformation,
and had to really
renewing
reset
the
himself.
mind.
His mother had always wanted him to write.
Oh wow!
And never had a college degree.
So people, so what we're telling you too is be inspired. Be inspired to follow your dreams. You can do it. We are here to empower you, to inspire you, to motivate you, to encourage you together as you encourage us too, because the reason why we are back in the limelight of being on the radio is to make sure that we continue to empower and give out information that we can help someone. Go ahead.
Well, I think too is that sometimes you can stop running the race, but this is not the time.
Absolutely.
And if any of us have anything left, we have to give it. It's that's why all these sports analogies and most of the stuff is around visual realization, motivation to activation. You build your knowledge through lifelong learning. You take full responsibility, and what's lacking is we have to maintain our self-esteem.
Absolutely.
And you can be confident, but not cocky.
There we go. It's a big difference.
Yeah.
It's a big difference. Now, will the food play a role? What you eat, drink, and being able to sleep play a role in your body and mind being inspired
of course.
to?
That's why I talked about the neuroanatomy and physiology. And for folks to understand, it's a very well-tuned biochemical mix, down to the way salt is exchanged and the way potassium exchange on a microscopic level. Now, either you can feed that system, that energy cell, that mitochondria, with things that will fortify it and allow it to do its natural function, or you will provide it with things that mess up the natural functioning of, in my thought, the energy creating cell in the cell, which is the mitochondria. Without that, things break down. Like anything else. If it's expecting food, protein, broken down, nutritious, plant-based, but it's getting salt, sugar, fat. They say the new sitting is the new smoking.
Oh my! So, say that again.
I said sitting is the new smoking.
Oh my goodness.
And so we have to start looking at this, because it gets back to why we don't have motivation, why we lose self-esteem, why we can't get things done, because it's designed for
sometimes you have to declutter too. Is that correct?
All of it. It's all it again, when you talk to these motivational speakers, it's not just one thing; it's all areas of
Of your
your
life.
life,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and what that means to you, um, on a level of toxic or non-toxic, right?
And what we also have to realize, just as well as we um, feed our bodies, we have to feed our minds and our spirits.
That's why lifelong
So,
learning.
right. And you were just saying, if we, with using motivational tools and words and affirmations to feed your spirit.
Exactly.
People read the Bible,
Exactly.
listen to
Yeah.
gospel, and other things that you do. You may meditate.
Right.
There's different things that you actually do, but we're saying to you, hopefully, um, asking you to make sure that you empower your spirit and your soul.
Because I think that part of the issue that they talk about is habits.
Mm-hmm.
And
We
most
said
people make habits their master instead of mastering their habits.
wow. That was something that my father always told me when I was younger.
Your dad was a
He
smart
said,
guy. He was a brilliant guy.
I thank you, Mr. Howard. Rest in peace.
Yeah.
He always shared with me, make sure whatever you're doing that you control it and you don't let it control you.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and so it's look, when you talk about the Afrocentric culture and
Mm-hmm.
our sense of ethics and pride and all those kind of things, they can't be missed in this world of, anything at all costs, misinformation, disinformation. Uh, uh, we have to continue to be the people that we want to be, you know?
Once again, you
Yeah.
have tuned in to Believe Radio, which is a 24-hour inspirational and gospel music station. Please don't forget to log in on Believe Radio Bay Area. Like it, share it, and give your comments. But we definitely want you to make sure that you tune in. On the Eyes of the Conscience Soul, every first Saturday of the month, we have the Cafe Le Blue Lounge. The second Saturday of the month, we have the Medicine Hour. The third Saturday of the month, we have Education is the Best Medicine. And every fourth Saturday of the month, we have the Kitchen Table, which you are tuned into it now. Please tune in to Believe Radio. There are also other awesome shows that come on Believe Radio. Please tune in, tell a friend, share, tell your colleagues, whomever. Just please put it out there and promote Believe Radio. Thank you.
So I was in Les Brown's case, he does a real good discussion around fear.
Mm.
And but prior to that, a discussion around responsibility. And the analogy was used that Bill Russell, one of the greatest basketball players in the NBA, and went to McClimon's High School, then went to USF and went on
Shout out to Oakland Tech,
uh,
the young ladies. Didn't they just moved up to they won an award.
okay,
They won something up like we want to give shout out to the town.
Okay,
Want to make sure the folks in the town want to be
okay.
proud of our young women at Oakland Tech and the things, and definitely McClymonds, that school
Yeah,
you went to.
yeah,
The what is that? The football,
yeah.
y'all
Hey,
y'all
look here,
dominant.
Oakland Public Schools
Hey.
was very, very good. Skyline Council,
And don't close them.
Oakland
Come on,
High,
people.
gotta love them. So, and well, he talks a lot about fear. He says fear can be your downfall, and you have to discuss and rethink your thinking. He calls on you.
Say that once again, please.
He
Rethink
says, your thinking.
Rethink your thinking.
And it's a lot of stuff around just understanding how much your behavior and your actions play in your success.
That there is true.
And so he says that he wants, because he feels, again, this is an African American man, to encourage our self-esteem. He feels with that we lack it and we need to always constantly, he says, if you don't like you, then who's going to like you? If you don't believe in you, no one's going to believe in you. Absolutely. So he says one of the major principles is, I remember him talking, he was stating that one of the things that he found that was uh, uh, people that are successful never listen to those that don't think they will be.
Okay.
And
Say that
so
again,
I
please,
mean,
sir. No, but we
yeah, I
are
mean,
here on
yeah,
Believe Radio
yeah.
for people to believe
Believe.
in themselves.
There you
And
go.
we're giving them the inspirational
There you go.
messages and things that they're needing
Yeah.
to help not only them, but us too.
Well, and I think too is that again, we talk about structural and institutional racism issues for us as a culture, but these things tend to kind of shine through those things.
Uh huh.
And again, the use of journals and writing down your thoughts, so your thoughts produce the actions. Nothing's perfect. You have to be sometimes. Uh, you have to hit in order to. You have to
Fall
You have
or
to miss in
miss.
order to,
Okay,
well,
got it.
because I'm using it now.
You
You have to
playing
miss
baseball. Okay.
basketball. You have to
Basketball.
miss in order to hit. And the thing with Bill Russell was that Bill Russell at that time, although a great player, was a terrible free throw shooter. And he had a really interesting way. And if anyone ever saw Rick Barry and Bill Russell shot free throws the same way.
Mm.
But the thing about it is that it was one of the last championships he would win, and they knew he was a terrible free throw. So it's like hack a Shaq, where they hack Bill Russell.
Mm-hmm.
But the motivational piece is that is to this is that Bill Russell always felt that at those times in that game, this is where he wanted to be, on the line with the win.
Yes.
And so, of course, he goes to the line, sinks the shots, and they win the championship. But I guess my point is that the folks that are successful tend to want to be at the biggest point at the biggest time with the biggest things to lose.
And I'm so glad that you're talking about basketball, because God's been working with me and I've been doing my workshops thinking about this. Is that he was saying that there's 15 minutes in the quarter. There's 4 quarters. There in 15 minutes, there's a lot that can be done. So how do you get it done in that 15 minutes? A part of with self-care and anything, like you were saying, journaling, write it down. 15 minutes. Only take 15 minutes out of your day. You were telling us also that we can start. You said walking. What was that before we run? There was something you was
Well,
some
the thing
tips
about it is that
you gave.
just in an exercise,
In an
as
exercise.
in life, you have to crawl before you can walk.
Absolutely.
And then you walk, and then you can start running. But you just don't go from crawling to running. And people want to go from crawling to running. You can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things that,
and you miss the lessons along the way.
well, you're going to have lessons along the way. Otherwise, how can you tell anything to anybody about anything?
Absolutely.
I mean, so, and that isn't necessarily equated with age. It's equated with knowledge base and experiencing what it is that you're doing or trying to do, or learning to do. And so this, again, back to learning, back to,
lifelong learning.
Self-esteem, confidence, lack of fear, because fear is a deep, dark emotion in our amygdala that if
False
we don't get
evidence appearing real.
Oh, definitely.
That's the acronym for it.
Yeah. I mean, so, and this is a part of our behavioral and mental health, because unless we're able to address these things, they overwhelm us. They overwhelm us in anxiety, depression, panic, homelessness, incarceration. These are the things that if we can't pull these things together and use them as a daily recipe for our own mental health, then we become that mental health issue.
And sometimes it just takes you to stop a minute and breathe.
Yeah.
Breathe in and blow out.
Stop.
Stop.
STOPP. Stop. Take a deep breath and assess the situation.
There we go.
These are, you can look it up on the internet. It's great. It's for anxiety, and it's a non-drug way. And remember, talk these things about your doctor. Your doctor.
Absolutely.
But we're not trying to play medicine here. It's just,
No.
These are things that you can do just for relaxation's sake, and clearing your mind. So a lot of this has to do with clearing one's mind. Taking time in the day to
empower yourself,
to eat, pray, and love.
Yeah, eat, pray, and love. I love that.
Yeah.
All right.
So I mean, that was the discussion that we are going to continue to have. And I implore people to kind of look at some of these sources. I'm going to read something out of Old Mandingo,
Okay.
and it's called the God Memorandum. And let's see here. Let's see what I can find here. It says that yeah,
And
it's a
then, you know, you can also do your daily reading, pull affirmations, create affirmations yourself.
uh-huh.
You know, this is very important that we always talk about leaving legacy and how do we create legacy for our families. There are so many things that we can do. Creating affirmations for our family, you know, was something that my father and James Brown in our house. Oh, we knew every James Brown song. But one of the song, not say one of the songs, but one of the major songs to me was "Say It Loud, I'm Black and I'm Proud."
Oh, God.
And I am an African American woman, and I am proud to be an African American woman. I love it.
Yeah.
Go ahead, sir.
Well,
And Mr. Wearley
Mr.
Howard, thank you. And Mrs.
Mr. Mandingo, this is a part of a series of books that he has out, and one called "The Greatest Salesman in the World."
Ah.
If you get a chance, you know, it's on paperback. You know, not that he ain't got enough money. It's just a good
Look, his
book to-
grandkid,
book-
kids
book to
is
read.
getting that money.
So this is out
We
of
talking about creating legacy.
and this is what his discussion is around choice. He says, should choose to love rather than hate, choose to laugh rather than cry, choose to create rather than destroy, choose to preserve rather than quit, choose to praise rather than gossip, choose to heal rather than to wound, choose to give rather than steal, choose to act rather than procrastinate, choose to grow rather than not, choose to pray rather than curse, choose to live rather than to die.
That was beautiful. That was beautiful. And thank you for sharing those affirmations. As we said before, we are here to hopefully empower you and to encourage you and to inspire you to be the best you. And for we as a community can be the best us. And it's about, again, for us creating legacy. We want to thank you. We are tuned into the Eyes of the Conscious Soul on Believe Radio. We come to you every first Saturday of the month. We have the corner, which is called the Cafe Le Bleu Lounge. Excuse me. And then we have the second Saturday of the month, the medicine hour, and the third Saturday of the month, education is the best medicine. And every fourth Saturday of the month, we have the kitchen table. This is what you are tuned into, the kitchen table. How do we have real talk, real conversation, hot topics that we bring to you, either from ourselves or from people in our actual community, and uplifting our community and holding our community up. And that's why we want to give kudos to anybody that's out there that's just trying to make it happen.
Yeah. Yeah. I want hey, from last week. Just thank Gigi for coming on. She was
It
just
was an awesome
stellar.
show.
Great, great views, great discussions. Again, you know,
And it's all about the information.
All about
you
the
know, we
information.
all make mistakes in life. We've all done things that we're not pleased of, or, you know, we can't please everybody.
That's true.
That was one thing that my mother told me and that I held on to. And I want to thank Mrs. Howard for saying that, is that you can't please everybody and you just try to do your best. And when you fall, like you said, you know, forgive others, move on, forgive yourself, move on, and go from there. That's healthy living.
Well, and again, back to this motivation stuff, which is really, I don't know, if you're joined it. It says what people do is instead of trying to shoot so high that they miss, they shoot so low and they hit that mark.
Oh, say that
Les Brown.
again.
So,
Mr. Les Brown, thank you.
It's Les Brown. You know, I gotta be honest too. I had a bias around West Brown as I was doing this. I was saying, "Oh man, I gotta check this brother here." I said because I wanted to have some balance, and then again, my fear was I might learn something, right? So the discussion.
Thank God that you could be transparent and honest.
Of
and
course,
this is what it's about.
Course.
You know?
I had not looked at this
That's
stuff
what
for
life is about.
years, but as I felt a need to have balance between them, I found they were both were saying the same thing, and they were
Mm-hmm.
saying it as very passionately as possible from their perspective, as men have been through a number of challenges and been
Wow,
successful with them.
it even says in the Bible that you can even learn something from a baby.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
Lifelong learning.
we had talked about the fact that you know we have to continue to be open to new experiences and challenges and new, again, your comfort zone. How
Mm-hmm.
comfortable are you in your comfort zone? Can you get out of it? You have to sometimes because that's what's required. Can you stand in the breach and deal, or are you going to fold? Those are all the things that kind of define you, and sometimes you fail, but the majority is to succeed and move forward.
Well, once again, we want to thank you for tuning in to Believe Radio, which is a 24-hour gospel and music station. Please don't forget to go on the website. We still, time is flying when we having fun, but we still have about 4 minutes to go.
Hmm.
So, but we definitely want to have you like, share, comment on Believe Radio Bay Area. Go in and check us out.
Oh, another thing Les Brown said about his fear:
His fear. Oh, that's cool.
social media.
Oh my.
He did not like getting on any of these platforms, but he realized that he would be losing a large percentage of folks.
Mm.
And I must say, honestly, I had my reservations about returning to the platform, but the need is so great, and we need to be able to provide these platforms and outlaw. We have to be out here to provide these platforms and discussions that may have a different kind of tilt than the standard, and so our voices are heard.
Hmm. And we are all about uplifting our voices in our community, the voices in the community, the folks that's making a difference every day. As Mr. Pearson has said earlier, we're so grateful and thankful to our African American physicians. We say kudos to you. We pray for you. We just want you to continue to be inspired
Uh,
to help your people.
and speaking of that, I want to say a special thank you to Dr. Richmond. Hey, Dr. Richmond, enjoy your retirement. Dr. Wafer, enjoy your retirement. Dr. Brown, hey, I don't know if you retired yet, but give a brother a call. We're trying to get a hold of you. But otherwise, again, I want to thank them for all their years of service, and what they bring to the community has been so special as a mentor, and one that's taught me a lot.
And we please don't want them to stop because wisdom is important. They've gotten wisdom that we today continue can utilize. That's why it's so important that we continue working together with intergenerational, because we can learn from each other.
Yep.
This is what it's been about for Africans in America,
Yeah.
is that we have to get back to our seniors, our elders. They worked hard and they gained wisdom, and the wisdom that they have, we can learn from them. Go ahead, sir.
Um, there's a last thing I'll close out with,
Okay.
and it's from um, he calls this the scrolls, and uh, it's oh boy, it says, "I will form good habits and let them become their slave.
Mm.
I will greet each day with love in my heart. I will persist until I succeed. I am nature's greatest miracle. I will live this day as if it was my last. Today I'll be master of my emotions. I will laugh at the world, keep perspective. And today I will multiply my value 100-fold. I will act now. I will pray for guidance."
Wow. Well, again, we
Thank
were
you, OG.
and thank you, Mr. Pearson.
Yeah.
We want to thank you again for tuning in to Believe Radio, which is a 24-hour gospel and music station. Don't forget to like, click, share, comment with all whatever we have to do in order to
Expanded.
empower you, expand our reach. Please do that. And Mr. Pearson, any parting words?
I think this is a thanks for letting me do this show. I think that hopefully we have provided some foundational tools for people to continue to make changes, positive changes in their life, and grow.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.